Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to FPL Don't Panic. I am so rough today. I'm just back in Auckland just for an hour or two, and then I'm actually literally off out again. So I thought I'd just knock this one on the head, get it out quickly, and tell you what I have done, for better or for worse, possibly both. But where I was actually was for the last day or so. I was actually on a golf trip, fundraiser golf trip, and I should not be let loose on a golf course. I am an absolute bloody liability. But I will tell you a story. Like I said, I'm a terrible golfer, and I think it was about the fourth or the fifth hole, and about 30 or 40 meters from the pin, which would normally be about 4 or 5 shots for me, anyways, just to get the ball in the hole. But we were playing Ambrose, which is the only reason I was 30 or 40 meters from the pin. Ambrose, for those of you that I don't know if it's Ambrose is just a New Zealand thing. I don't think it is. I think it's around the world. But it's like you have a team of four, and you take your next shot from wherever the best shot was played. So if I've hit an amazing drive and three or four others are off the fairway, that's never going to happen, by the way, because I will never hit an amazing drive. But you'd actually take it from my shot. Then if I take the next shot, the next four shots from that same placement, then you take it from whoever's had the best shot there. So it speeds things up, and it means that you keep the scores fairly low, except in my team's case, of course, because we still finished well over because we were awful. However, I did have a moment of glory. It wasn't about the fourth or fifth hole, and it was about 30 or 40 meters from the pin. And I chipped it straight in the hole. Couldn't believe it. It was excitement. My teammates couldn't believe it. High fives all around. In our excitement, we forgot to collect this ball. Now, this actual ball was one I'd actually found on the previous hole while I was looking for probably my 10th lost ball of the day. And I actually found a ball with initials on it, LB. Oh, I'll have that lucky ball. And it was. Next hole. Boom. Chipped it right in. So back at the clubhouse, then that was it. That was it for me for the day. That was about the only decent shot I played. But I had my moment of glory. I was happy. So back at the clubhouse later, doing the prizes and the presentations, and they did the prizes for the winners, etc., etc. Then it was shot of the day. I thought, oh, shame no one saw my chip in. Um, and and I said, and on the fourth hole, chip in from long range. Actually, she thought she'd lost her ball. Lucy Bailey, she thought she'd lost her ball and found it in the hole. And I thought, oh, so I just kept my gob shut. Anyway, we continued. We continued to get very trolleyed after that. I had a fantastic day in the sunshine, but I am absolutely whacked, and I'm off out in a couple of hours to do something similar all over again, or a different format. It's actually a big function thing. So yeah, I'm going to be. It's going to be. It's a big few days. However, I have had time to activate the wild card, for better, for worse, possibly both. Let's have a look. We'll have a look at what I've done. I'll justify why I've done it, and the more I look at it, if we talk about what I've been dealing with in the first instance, I don't think I've even got all of these down. The injuries I've had to deal with, and then just have to keep replacing people, but not really optimizing the sort of replacements or really doing what I ideally want to do. Ndai, Hall, Cunha, Ahmad, and there's one or two more in there as well. Minutes risks now with Trent, Dango, Isak, and probably one or two others as well. The team is looking bad. My averages have been cranking along since game week 9 when I did some corrections to my team. I got my averages, cranking along since game week 9 to about 73, 74 points as an average, up to game week 25, 26. But it's getting increasingly harder, as I say, due to errors, but also just constantly having to tweak, change, bring in players as you make play. Yeah, I mean, you guys that have been following me have seen this whole thing unfold, and I just got to this and I thought, I can't do this anymore. It's just the averages that I'm trying to get. I'm not going to get them. It was actually starting to show the averages were going to be going down to about sort of 50, 55, and that's just if everyone started. When I ran through the spreadsheet the last time, I thought, no. Okay, you made your mistakes with your chip strategy early in the season, but it's just compounding things now. If we've got games coming up now between now and 33, 34, and if I just try to tweak and change the team again, I don't think it's going to get any better. So I thought, let's do the open heart surgery now. Let's try and get through to 33, 34, intact, trying to hang on to that sort of 70-point average, and then just see how can you manage through what will be the critical game weeks. of 33, 34, because the doubles after that are going to be small. They might be manageable. It's can I get through 33 and 34, but optimize at least a wee bit in the meantime as I get towards this. So that ultimately was the decision. And as I did it, it's like those coin costs. If you toss a coin, you got 50-50 decisions. Do I do this and do I do that? How do you feel about it if that coin comes down one way and you go, oh, don't like that? I actually did that. I didn't like it. I did toss a coin and it said, no, try and play through, because that was and do it with transfers. And I don't like that. So I'm just going to tying myself into a pretzel over the next 3 or 4 game weeks. And then I actually did get on the spreadsheet. I thought, geez, that's not a bad team. Still needs tweaking. But that's actually going to get me a better result than, just hitting 50s and 55s if I'm lucky. Because I'm not even sure about a full 11 going out some weeks at the moment, or full 11 getting 90 minutes. So let's have the first unveiling of the first draft of the wildcard. And then I'll just show you what it looks like in the spreadsheet with the fixtures, and then even what it looks like a little bit as we project forward into 33, 34, the sort of shape I'm getting into and what I'll need to do towards 33, 34. So there it is in all its glory. I'll show you on the spreadsheet in a second, because that's when it probably makes more sense. But yeah, if we talk about just the immediate fixture, let's just talk about the immediate fixture. It actually looks pretty good. Henderson, Gabriel, Munoz, Konate, Salah, Bowen. I don't think Newcastle are that tricky at the moment. I suspect, especially with Hall, potential Isak injury or Isak starting out. And Mbeumo, great fixture. Kluivert's bang in form. And Nkunku is one I'm not 100% sure on, but the one thing I didn't like in what I was doing was, believe it or not, although he's been shocking, is taking Palmer out for Leicester at home. But it was a necessity, and I think I'm not going to base this whole strategy around one player potentially do something. Wood, we know he can score against anyone. He has some good fixtures coming up. Not the ideal fixture against City as an entry point. I guess I could potentially play Strand Larsen, but Strand Larsen is actually one that I'm not 100% set on at the moment. Gavardio, bench, but good fixtures after this, so he's in. And Milenkovic. As a team, that's certainly way better than where I was. But I think the key thing here is not all of these players are set in concrete yet. I have some playing around to do, but a few of these are definitely, I think rock solid in. It's just around around the edges towards 33 and 34, and some players that I think may not 100% convinced of. But as I say, this is, and as you all know, when we do a wild card, we do 100 of them. I haven't got time to do 100 of them at the moment. This is a first draft. I'm going to have another after I finish this video. I'm going to have another play with it, and that really will come out the spreadsheet and how these numbers look. Okay, here we go. Hopefully that's come up. Let me just check that's come up on the screen for you. Just give you an idea where I'm going with this. Okay, just going to make myself a little bit smaller there to get me even more out of the way. There we go. It's going to be a little desi for now so that you guys can see this reasonably clearly. Okay, so again, I know I repeat myself on this, but there's always new viewers coming in. So for the uninitiated, this is kind of how I try to run my team. It's not always easy, particularly over the last 4 or 5 weeks. I think that's why the spreadsheet's just fallen off a cliff, to be honest with you, because it's been impossible just to keep up with the various injuries and things that I've had going on. I like to see, really ideally, a 4-point average from a keeper, and that's how if you're achieving a 4-point average out of a keeper, that's good. I like to try and achieve a 5-point average out of my defenders. That is very difficult as well. Five points. Whoever even finishes top of FPL defenders points is unlikely to have hit 5 points. So it's aspirational, but trying to get towards that 5 points average with defenders, midfielders, ideally a 6-point average, and forwards a 7-point average. Now my previous team was just falling off a cliff on that now. And those of you again that have been following me for a while, when things are actually going reasonably smoothly, know that my numbers usually here are showing around that sort of 70-point mark as I tweak and change it across the season, and just being able to do 1 or 2 transfers at a time, just trying to keep those averages up. And certainly since game week 9, as an average, it's been fantastic. Before that, because I did make some huge mistakes, as we saw at the beginning of the season, but since game week 9, if we could just get rid of those actually it was game week 4 to 9 where I made some huge mistakes. If we could have got rid of those and kept those at a 70-point average, things would be joyful right now. They're not. So this looks so much better than what I had last week. It's showing probably, on average, probably a 20-25%. And remember, these numbers are without captaincy. So this is like, showing maybe about 20 points per week, better than what my other spreadsheet would have been showing with my previous team. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to translate into that. Of course, it's football. Anything can happen. But generally, on average, my averages come out almost, but not quite about right. So this team as a unit for their last, 5 matches that they've played is actually looking pretty good. Henderson's looking pretty good there, especially obviously with that Ipswich fixture, and he blanks. But then I've got Sa with the Southampton away, and in fact, Sa's averages are actually better than Henderson's at the moment. And then then Henderson's got some pretty decent fixtures, and then we've also got Sa to come in maybe for some of the more difficult ones here. So there's actually a decent rotation, and Sa's nice and cheap as well. Not my ideal keeper, but then neither is Henderson. But at the moment, Henderson's, he's keeping a few clean sheets. He's getting some save points here and there. As is Sa. And between the two of them, don't like rotating keepers, but it's a necessity because what I also will obviously get is a double out of this as well. Move that over. Yeah, there we go. This is one of the areas here that I'm looking at obviously very, very closely. Hopefully, this is coming up for you guys. We've got the doubles in 30. The doubles in 33, so some of these fixtures are going to move over here, and then we've also got but we don't know what any of those doubles are going to be yet. These are where someone's got a definitive fixture, and as you can see, again, I know this screen is not big enough, but I've actually got the startings at least, and this is going to be the thing for me to manage through, is having some players there which have got definitive fixtures in that blank 34, because I will not have a free hit, and I will not have a wild card to play with to help manage through that. So what's going to be critical is getting to sort of this point here, or using transfers wisely along the journey to here as this picture becomes clearer, to make sure I've got a reasonable balance of doublers as some of these fixtures move over here, and hopefully I don't need to use many transfers, if any, here. It will not be optimized. I'm not kidding myself there. I absolutely know that. But if I can get a reasonable balance, of doublers in there with people that we play, and then hopefully when I get to here, just with the amount of transfers I've built up, I'll be able to actually get a good solid team out in 34, and then 35, 36, 37, 38. I don't think the doubles are going, and the blank's going to be too big there. So hopefully I can manage through that reasonably well. Time will tell, but that is the plan. Going through the team on itself, Gabriel, at least Arsenal seem to be running into a little run of form now, with 4.8 average there for Gabriel. So hopefully we'll see that coming up a wee bit. Munoz, everyone's wanted Munoz, so I know that Munoz has got that blank in 29, but we obviously want him with that Ipswich, well I do anyways, with that Ipswich and Southampton fixture either side, and then obviously I've got Gavardio coming in to cover there as well. Then we've got Liverpool. Okay, this is, I suppose this is the risk, I guess, if I get any injuries, because I am actually on exactly 11 for blank 29. Could use a transfer, I guess, if something happens, and with my luck something is going to happen, but it's actually looking reasonably good, and I definitely do want Liverpool players in there, obviously with that Southampton and Everton fixture, and also as we get to that 33, 34, we know that they're going to have a fixture. Bowen, there are some players here, I'm not 100% sure, but Bowen's the talisman. He's still a bit of a differential, and certainly I don't think, although I haven't got any of these fixtures as green, none of them particularly, maybe apart from Liverpool away, particularly worry me. It just seems at the moment if West Ham are going to get a goal, Bowen's going to be involved. And he had a fantastic run last year, and he's just got a knack of being in the right place at the right time and picking up a return, even in tough fixtures. So I think think I'm reasonably concrete that Bowen will be staying. And Bomo's in Bomo. He's just averaging the 6.2 at the moment. And not great fixtures, but they're not awful either. I guess the Arsenal one is the one that will worry us further down the line there. Chelsea at home is not too much of a worry. Newcastle away. What sort of a Newcastle are we going to get after the Carabao Cup, particularly if they win it? When was it? Yeah, they don't know. Newcastle have tended to taper off towards the end of the season. Last couple of seasons, even when they've been hot, they've been blowing very, very hot and cold at the moment. Not overly worried about that at the moment, but these are things I can look as we sort of start to tick through some of these fixtures, and I make adjustments here, and those adjustments will be geared towards that 33 and 34. Who's doubling and who's blanking? So, like as I say, I've got a good balance of doublers in doublers in 33, and as I get to 34, we should have still a decent amount of fixtures there. And can easily, bring in players either from the bench or transfers to make sure I've got a full team going out in 34. Time will tell. Time will tell. Who else we got? Kluivert. Yeah, happy enough at the moment. I do think Bournemouth I've got a lot of green in there because they are good fixtures. I think for a player like a player like a Kluivert and an attacking team like Bournemouth. But I do feel they've got off the boil a wee bit. And obviously I brought Kluivert in. I really like Dango, but I just couldn't be guaranteed of him starting. Now with with players back, and yeah, I'm really happy to have Kluivert in, and there's some really good fixtures in there. Wood, again, as I said, not the ideal entry point, but as I look at some of these fixtures, particularly Ipswich and Man United, these aren't particular worries either. And as we've seen, we keep writing Wood off. To be honest with you, with difficult fixtures, but he's come through the difficult fixture period, and there's still goals in there, So just play him. I've given, I did have him for a while, and then I sold him before the difficult fixtures, and he kept returning, not as consistently, but still kept returning. So hopefully now that the fixtures are turning a little bit, he can really get back on that 9-10 points sort of average that he was hitting, and his average is still great at 7. I'd be very, very happy with that for the rest of the season if he got me 7 points a week. But the thing that we know with Wood is if he scores, he's likely to get bonus, so it's more likely to start moving up into that 8, 9, 10 point average again. And of course, the big one. I guess this is the big call. Bringing in Haaland. It's do or die, bust or it's bust or win. I hope, but Haaland, I'm just gonna back it. That almost becomes the big differential. I think a lot of players at the moment had planned to bring him in 29, and maybe this is where my decision just to be aggressive, just fix the problems. Because as I'm looking at social media. As I'm looking, at the other content providers and looking at some of the surveys that they do, I think people are going to be taking lots of hits over the next game week or two. So at least by doing the wildcard, I'm trying to stick with my take no hits policy, because I would have had to take 2, 3, 4 hits to sort this. I would have had to take more than 2 or 3, about 3 hits would have eased the problem, but it would have taken about, I think in my team, 5 or 6 hits to really, really sort it out. And as I'm looking at social media, other content providers, there's going to be a lot of hits taken over the next game week or two to bring in Haaland to resolve, because I'm obviously not the only one with issues with Hall, Cunha, Mateta, etc., etc. So I'm hoping that in doing this now, maybe I've optimized the team a wee bit. That a lot of players will be taking hits to solve some of these problems, to get a full team out for 29, etc. So maybe I can just get some upside now between now and 33, 34. But I have a reasonable plan in 33 to 34, knowing that they're gonna, that the wild carders and the free hitters are going to be coming for me. But maybe by pushing the problem down the road a bit, I can gain some upside now as these teams are taking hits, And as they are obviously, trying to bring Haaland in and breaking their teams, because I like the look of that team. I brought Haaland in. I did make the mistake of bringing Haaland in at the beginning of the season, and it broke my team because it broke the spreadsheet because we didn't have enough data. We didn't know who the right players were, the cost-effective players that we could bring in to bring Haaland in. We just knew that he was like, getting stupid numbers and you're frightened to go on without him. And that was the big mistake I made. Losing that nice, balanced team with a good spread of points, and having Haaland, yeah, because he's like, 30 or 40 points a week, for that little period of time with the captain's armband on him. So this to me looks reasonably balanced. There's a few players in there I'm not 100% convinced about. Nkunku would be one, but he could be just that short-term play. So I've got a little bit of coverage for that Leicester fixture. He can go on the bench then. And Strand Larson could come in. To be fair, isn't the other player I'm not 100% convinced on for Southampton. And there's a West Ham home fixture for Strand Larson, but then Nkunku's got Spurs home. It's not bad in Ipswich Town. Yeah, because that would probably be the one that I am the most worried about, even though he's been a shocker, is taking Palmer out and not having any Chelsea coverage there, even though Chelsea are at best average. I'm not even sure they're average, to be honest. But against Leicester, as they showed against Southampton, they can and should bang in 3 or 4 goals. And, Nkunku has shown, so his average there is just showing as 6. These ones here, his minutes have been really, 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 really erratic. So these are actually, I think, his last 2 90-minuters. I think these ones were, no, that would have been a 90 minutes as well. Anyway, his minutes have been erratic, but he's shown he can get a haul. I actually do think he's a decent player, but if you're not getting the right game time, it's just very hard to find form. So maybe he could be the star of the show. So I think I will probably stick with him because it's the Leicester at home fixture, but he's probably one of the players I'm least convinced by. But that is something that I can probably easily fix. I've still got a little bit of money in the bank further down the line. This has been a big waffle, guys. So just in summary, this is the first draft. I'd say Henderson's a lock. I'd say Gabriel's a lock. I'd say Munoz is a lock. Kanate, I think, is a lock. Although I'm nervous about taking Trent out. And if he starts against Southampton and gets a clean sheet and gets a goal and an assist, I will obviously be kicking myself. Is he going to start against Southampton? No. Anyway, I've gone Kanate. His numbers are nice and consistent-ish. He's showing a 5-point average, and ultimately it's about the averages. At the moment, this team shows a 70-point average. If I can achieve that between now and game week 33, I'll be very, very happy. Very, very happy indeed. And then, who knows? And bearing in mind, these numbers are without captaincy, so there may be upside on that if we get some captains hauled. Fingers crossed. Anything else to say on this? I'm sorry, I have waffled a bit and I have to keep it a little bit quick because I have to get myself organised, packed and ready to roll again. Who else forgot? Yeah, so I might have a little quick look at some of these bench options. Tempted maybe to bring in an Everton defender potentially instead of Milenkovic because they do actually have a fixture further down the track in 33 and 34. They've got guaranteed fixtures, so that could be somewhere where I can again give me further coverage in 33, 34. So yeah, waffle. I'll leave it at that. Hopefully there's a little bit of clarity there. Hopefully it gives you an idea why I'm doing this, whether it's the right thing to do or not. The only time it will tell is at the end of the season. Hey, it's been fun doing a wildcard actually. They're always enjoyable. Anyway, leave it at that. Take care. Have fun. Play your own game. Don't panic. I'll finalise this. Probably going to be tomorrow morning, and then we're going to hit deadline. We'll see where it lands. Talk to you soon. Be good. Bye bye.